Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifted. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone, and happy Sunday. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you're just respectful. You know, everyone has different opinions in the chat, and we respect everyone's opinion. However, you have to do it in a respectable manner. Also, I need to reiterate that we're going to go back and we're going to be finishing Jane Doe's. I don't know if we'll finish it. We'll do a couple of hours of Jane Doe's testimony, and we cannot say the name. We cannot say who we think this person is. We cannot say who you think's associated with the person. That has been a big discussion by the judge, and even when I further read the transcript, it looks like Jane Doe's attorney turned in links and YouTube channels, and the judge is just trying to figure out if it was anybody who was in the courtroom is what the judge is focused on, because I guess the way the Jane Doe order is drafted, the judge is saying he doesn't know if he has authority to do anything to people outside of who's in the courtroom or not. But he did not take away entertaining gag orders on media. So we don't want to be a part of that number. I don't mind being on the pleading as far as my name and my bar number because I'm representing somebody, but I'm not trying to be all up in ink over being on YouTube. Okay. So if you guys could please honor that, I would appreciate that, because I don't know how many mods is going to be up in here on a Sunday. All right. Now, yesterday I came on a few times, and one of the reasons why I came on is because there was a mistrial, a motion for a renewed mistrial that was filed. So if you did not check that out, I want you to check that out. And the reasoning for the mistrial was the allegations of the balcony. All right. And it looks like there is some discrepancies on when it happened or if it happened. Well, the defense is saying it never happened, it was made up, and says the prosecutors knew it was made up. Of course, I can guarantee you the prosecutor is gonna come back and basically do what they did on redirect, which is say she just got it wrong. She got the date wrong. It was a mistake. And so because it was a mistake, then it is what it is. Now, the problem with that again is just that she is the one, she being Brianna Bongolo, who is the one that is alleging that Diddy dangled her over a balcony. She's the one that turned in a picture and said that it was taken on the same day. And so now I assume they're going to take it back that, oh, maybe it wasn't taken on the same day or whatever they're going to come. But I'm sure it's going to be a response to that. And they typically go over the motions before the jury comes in before the jury comes in before it starts. So they'll probably have this conversation tomorrow. It's before the jury comes in. And then also, so one of the things when we were talking yesterday was Cassie's rendition, which was part of it, because Cassie, there was a text message that when you read it as a whole, it sounded like she was relaying to KK, which is Christina Coram, who is the chief of staff of Diddy. She was relaying to her that she heard about this incident, but then she testified that she saw the incident. And I thought that Brianna also testified that she was by herself and no one saw it. But apparently, I looked back up on what she said, and she did not say that. So I have to correct myself. She said, I guess she told the government that Cassie was there, but she said she doesn't know if she saw it. So then she went to, I don't know. So this is the transcript from her. And so the question said, okay, he held you over the balcony and then he threw you into some furniture. True. She said, yes. And you said that Cassie Ventura witnessed this. She said, I heard her voice as I was getting thrown. So then question, okay, wait, I want to make sure we're clear. You're not saying that Cassie Ventura saw this? She said, I don't know. She said, you don't know? She said, I can't speak for her. Seems to me though, if that happened, it would have been some conversation like, that was wild what happened. Like, oh my God. Like, if I'm there and I see my girlfriend getting dangled, there is no way we are not going to have a conversation after that about that situation. But nonetheless, she's saying she heard Cassie's voice, but she can't speak to her whether, whether she saw it or not. Question, okay, isn't it true that you told the government on several different occasions that Miss Ventura saw this? She says, I spoke to them, but again, I don't recall. You don't recall? No, ma'am. So basically, she don't know one way or another, I guess, whether Cassie was there. And then remember, Cassie also mentioned this same incident in her lawsuit. So I'm gonna pull up what Cassie said. This is just, just cleaning up as from yesterday when we started discussing the renewed motion for a mistrial. So this is what she says in her lawsuit. This is a part of Cassie's lawsuit that she filed where she got $20 million in less than 24 hours. So in paragraph 101, page 19, it has around August 2015, for example, in the middle of surprise birthday dinner for Miss Ventura's 29th birthday, Mr. Combs insisted that Miss Ventura leave the party and go to a hotel for an FO. When she expressed that she did not want to go, Mr. Combs had Miss Ventura cornered by his security staff in order to force her to leave with him. After this FO, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura went back to the hotel room that Miss Ventura was staying in, where some of Miss Ventura's friends were already hanging out. Mr. Combs was severely intoxicated and at one point during the night picked one of Miss Ventura's friends like a child and dangled the friend over the balcony of the 17th floor hotel suite. Miss Ventura and her friends were scared by Mr. Combs' erratic behavior, but Miss Ventura was heavily sedated because of the drugs she took to participate in the FO and therefore was unable to respond to Mr. Combs' terrifying behavior. This is a total different story. So again, she's saying it was after her 29th birthday around August is when she's saying it, which is different because her homegirl said it was September and showed the photos the end of September. Then the homegirl said it was at her apartment and he bust through at 3 a.m. And Cassie's lawsuit says that it was at a hotel and friends were all there. So the whole balcony situation is all over the place. So no, apparently Cassie testified that she was there. And if you look at the lawsuit, that is what she's saying. Hey Thais, good to see you. If you look at what she's saying, she's basically saying that she was there, or according to her lawsuit. Why? Because she's saying it was after a freak off. So you know what it's looking like is he was mad she didn't want to do it on her birthday. So this is where a lot of this stuff I think is where the government is getting their case from. Because this would look like, okay, she's telling you no, she don't want to do it, and as a result, you become violent with the friends for it's coercion because she feel like she gotta do it or something may happen to her and her friends. So some of this may be them going by some of these civil lawsuits and just taking it as gospel. So even though Diddy came on and said it's a lie, maybe it was parts of it that was a lie, and he just said it in a way where he didn't even take responsibility for any of it. But some of it may not have been 100% true, because what happened is Bongolan, she claimed after she read the lawsuit. Now she claims that before Cassie was about to put her name in the lawsuit, she asked her could she put her name in the lawsuit, and she said no. Which also leads me to believe that maybe she asked Kid Cudi, the same thing before she started putting people in lawsuits. So she didn't really say her name. Looks like she just, generally said it. The girl told her, Bongolan said she corrected her and told her her lawsuit was incorrect. It did not happen at the hotel. It happened at the apartment. So the thing is this: if Cassie saw this at a hotel after a freak off, then clearly the math ain't mathing. That's all I'm saying. So, yes, everybody was on drugs, but Cassie was very specific in this lawsuit. So, this is the type of stuff that is leading to these motions for mistrials, because if you're saying that she's on the stand and she's saying, well, it happened in September, here's the pictures of my bruises, and I took it. So let's just assume it happened in August, like Cassie is saying, instead of September. Her pictures she took were bruises from September. So how do you blame Diddy and also say I had injuries to this a month later, where you still got the bruises and you putting on neck braces and all that stuff 2 weeks later? So the injuries don't, when you look at circumstantial evidence, because honestly, a lot of this stuff that people are saying, well, he proved crimes, is circumstantial evidence. What I told you guys was nobody directly saw him blowing up, car. It could be assumed on the arson, but that's circumstantial evidence based on everything happening around. Capricorn said I was kidnapped in the car. I called him. We went to the house. There was some rumbling in the house and he was there. Like, that part but she didn't know anything about the arson. So everything would be circumstantial when it comes to that. So a lot of this stuff, I think they're trying to get direct evidence of people seeing this stuff. And when it comes to the balcony incident, a lot, some people believe like she just got the date wrong, which is an understandable argument and probably what the government is going to respond and say. The problem with that is, if you saying that, then how do these pictures fit in that you testified you took on the exact same day it happened, where the metadata shows that was taken on September 26th, I think it was. And then he can show where he was at that time, during the time you saying all this stuff was happening. So that's the basis of their motion. I told y'all yesterday, I doubt that they're going to grant it. However, you have to preserve the record. And what is happening that I see happening now is that they're putting so many bad acts in there and so many immoral things that are not moralistically right, things that are past the statute of limitation, the assaults, the batteries, DV, all that stuff that may be past the statute of limitations. And like with so that means he was never charged with any of this stuff. So when the same thing happened with Weinstein, where you end up having it overturned on appeal, assuming if he doesn't get an acquittal and he gets convicted, he appealing. And so he is preserving the record by letting everyone know, preserving the record. So the Court of Appeals, so how the Court of Appeals works is they aren't there. So they literally rely on transcripts. So your brief with your law in the transcripts. There aren't people there. They don't see them testify, none of that. They do it based off of the transcripts. And then you may get an oral argument to basically argue what you are alleging were issues from the lower court rulings that were wrong, that affected his trial, and it was prejudicial, more prejudicial than probative. The objections that the judge did not sustain, or objections that were sustained, but you can't unring a bell, so it should have been a mistrial, all of that. So they're just preserving the record. Getting a mistrial is very, very difficult. That's why you guys saw, like, in YSL, she was doing everything. I agree, not admonishing people, sending them to learn about Brady by violation training, just trying to find any alternative to dismissing this case. Like, so it's very, very difficult. I don't know how the judge would cure something like this, though. Like, to do a curative instruction, I just don't know how. But I guess we'll see. Hey, Sharon, good to see you. You said, where is the financial gain for the RICO? You get me, said all these people were high out their mind. I'm sure none of them remember clearly what happened. And that's a problem. That is a problem. All of them, from Diddy to all the women he was messing with. And with Jane Doe, what is interesting, what we're going to go over now with Jane Doe with the transcript, is some of it I'm going to skip over towards the beginning because I did glance at it. And it looks like they started putting up pictures one by one of all these different people that she had these freak offs with, or hotel nights. And the issue that I have is that if she says she wanted a condom, she said he would look agitated in his face, but he would give her one. If she said she didn't want to do it or didn't like the person, like, she started having preferences. Oh, I wasn't attracted to this person. I was just disgusted. I couldn't get turned on. And then he would just be like, all right, go ahead and be dismissed. It wasn't like he was making her do anything. She just didn't like making him feel unhappy and that he seemed agitated. But it seems like when there was a no, he honored that no. That's what it was looking like. Now, the thing is I think what the government is trying to paint is he knew she really didn't want to do it, but and probably knew that she was doing it because of her financial situation related to him. But from my understanding, she started doing these hotel nights before he was giving her an allowance. If I recall, I'm gonna go back and check, and come back if this is wrong, like I just did with the whole testimony of Cassie. But she also gets child support. She said her finances is Diddy and child support. So we want to know, how much child support do you get? Because sometimes a jury think you getting the $300, $400 that everybody else is getting, and she might be getting thousands of dollars. We don't know. And you just want a lifestyle that you can't afford. And Diddy like, okay, you can be my girl on my roster, but just like with anybody else, if what is important to me ain't important to you, you ain't got to be on my roster. And so I don't know. I feel like a lot of the stuff, how people are so pissed off and outraged out of immoral, unethical, grimy, you a snake, you a slime ball. I think we all kind of agree with that. But the thing is, you got to show that it's criminal. So this is some audio from the trial of a time, I guess, when she was mad at him and cussed him out or whatever because she saw him with somebody else. Let me see that. Hold on, Danielle. Why are you? Sorry, y'all. My baby uses my other phone, and when people text and she don't know who it is, she like, I don't know this person. Why are they texting me? I don't even know that. Okay, that's fine. Let me see. So this is the audio, and this was the exchange, I guess, that a couple of the audio, because we went over some part of the transcript yesterday, and they mentioned audio. So this is the audio. I'm gonna play it now for y'all.
Yeah, that's my friend. I'm in Miami. I don't have a lot of friends out here, okay? She asked me if she could work out with me. I said, okay. You gotta believe what you want. It's the last time you're gonna be cursing at me, disrespecting me over nothing. Like I'm a human being. I'm not gonna lock myself up in a room and have no friends. I don't have a bunch of guy friends. I already told you that. And she just came over to work out. But I'm not going to be explaining to you. It don't matter if I just got finished the other day. I'm single. I could do whatever I want to, but I didn't. You're straight flipping out on me. And I told you that you had one more time to do this. Flipping out on me because somebody came to work out with me at my house. You're nuts. So be sad, go crazy, do whatever you want to do. Okay, I don't deserve you. I don't deserve being honest with somebody. And then every time they see somebody around, they like, um, I'm doing something, working out. Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know. You think you silent treating me, and you think I'm gonna be nah. You'll have a rude awakening. You'll just have silence, and ain't nobody threatening you. And I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you can be mad. I can have a spat. We can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really that's all it is. Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. So how do you go in the direction of like moving on like that, or you like just like have me just keep moving? Ain't no threat. I'm just being clear. I can't do this with you every time you get upset.
So the thing that, to me, what I hear, and you guys, somebody can hear differently. That's the beauty of it all, on how people think differently. The first part is, it sounds like he told her what was up, and one of the mistakes she made several. Okay, starting from the beginning, by dealing with somebody that was with her girl. I think it set a precedent on how he viewed you. But one of the issues was, immediately on the first date, they was getting it in. Subsequently, y'all looking at corn. Soon after that, y'all doing hotel nights. You started out being his freak or fantasy, and then it seemed like you really want to be cuffed in a relationship. You did that backwards. And because of that, he told you up front what he wanted. And there's a lot of guys out here that tell you that I'll date you and I really like you, but I ain't trying to settle down. Some men, like, I was married 20 years, whatever their rationale is. And what happens is, sometimes the woman starts liking the man a lot more. But we cannot make it seem like the man didn't tell you what was up. And then he told you you can go on with your life. And there was times, like she said, they broke up for 4 months. Oh, he was nice to me again, and it just reeled me back in. But you know that he don't want to give you what you want. So you repeatedly allowed yourself to be hurt. Then you chose to be monogamous with a man who didn't even require that of you. The way I would have been on Instagram posing up and flexing up on somebody else's yacht, and you better not say nothing. I wish you would act like you mad that I'm up here with this billion, and it will always be a one up on you. You a millionaire at this time? Let me go find a billionaire. You a billionaire? Let me go look at your network and find somebody with more of a higher net worth than you. So it's giving. I believe her. I think she's probably being honest. So I'm not saying she's not credible. I think she comes across honest. Her emotions is probably real. I just think she thought she could change this man. She thought it was something special about her. Her self-worth, I can't even call it self-esteem because it sounds like she ain't had much of it. But she thought more highly of herself than she ought. That she can change this dude who realized one day, I ain't got to even lie to these chicks. I could just tell them I want to date all y'all at the same time. I got money. I can afford to do it. So I could make your house okay. I can satisfy you. And that's what happens with men. There are men who are married and they've had a side chick for 20 years. I used to date a guy and his mama was like that. And she would have the guy dated call the household, and she'd get mad. I'm sick of this. I've been doing this for 20 years. Because it'll be the holiday. And then it just click in your head. It's the holiday and I'm the side chick. And he don't want to be with me. He want to be with his wife and her family. I'm sure the wife knew about it because there's no way out of 20 years you didn't know that. But they had certain times where certain concerts they would go together, certain times of the year when the wife would get fed up, he'd go stay with her for a couple of weeks while she be geeked and they fed up. But then he'd go back home to his wife. But you knew he was married, so why is you got us calling this man's house and you want to get mad? I'm sick of this. I ain't doing this no more. You said that every time. So this ain't a new phenomenon. The problem is Diddy has a fetish and he freaky as hell. And he wants his girls to participate in it. And you cannot convince me that there aren't women that told him to go to hell and kick rocks. I'm not doing none of that. What you talking? You can't tell me that. There are probably plenty of women like, yeah, he tried to introduce me that. Or they never knew he was into it because he didn't get past showing the corn in the flicks. You want to have a fantasy. They probably was like, hell no, sure don't. But you can like take me to the Chanel store. She just showed what she was willing to do, and she had a position on the roster. So how they gonna turn that into what, that I'm thinking maybe based on just a bunch of bad acts or knowing that, hoping that the jury is like, this dude is terrible, we gonna get him on something type thing. So you said Lori Harvey got in the how fat that was in and out. Lori Harvey was so in and out, and people was on her neck about the people that she's dated, and then she move on. Lori Harvey get what she got to get out these relationships. They talk about her, and she just say she having fun. This might be y'all fave, but this is just somebody for me to play with right now while I feel like playing with her. And they was on her neck, but men do it all the time. Diddy did it. Diddy was doing it. So anyway, you get me said, I think it's an addiction to still be doing freak offs, knowing you're facing that's what I said yesterday. I'm like, I can't see, regardless of whether I feel like I'm in the right. You talking about United States versus me? I don't know if I want to look at a worker. I will probably be deleting them suckers everywhere. Like that would be the last thing on my mind. But the fact he just reduced it, but he still had to do it, he got a problem. So I'm gonna play the audio one more time, and then we're gonna get into this transcript. Let's see. Hold on.
Yeah, that's my friend. I'm in Miami. I don't have a lot of friends out here, okay? She asked me if she could work out with me. I said, okay. You gotta believe what you want. It's the last time you're gonna be cursing at me, disrespecting me over nothing. Like I'm a human being. I'm not gonna lock myself up in a room and have no friends. I don't have a bunch of guy friends. I already told you that. And she just came over to work out. But I'm not going to be explaining to you. It don't matter if I just got finished the other day. I'm saying, well, I could do whatever I want to, but I didn't. You're straight flipping out on me. And I told you that you had one more time to do this. Flipping out on me because somebody came to work out with me at my house. You're nuts. So be sad, go crazy, do whatever you want to do. Okay, I don't deserve you. I don't deserve being honest with somebody. And then every time they see somebody around, they like, I'm doing something, working out. Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know. You think you silent treating me, and you think I'm gonna be You'll have a rude awakening. You'll just have silence, and ain't nobody threatening you. And I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you can be mad. I can have a spat. We can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really that's all it is. Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. So how do you go in the direction of like moving on like that, or you like just like have me just keep moving? Ain't no threat. I'm just being clear. I can't do this with you every time you get upset.
So, and this is the thing, like Granola No Lady, that's another thing. She said she was a single mother. However, she was making sure she had makeup on and her hair was done. Because whenever homeboy snapped his fingers, she wanted to be ready and have a babysitter on standby. You a whole mama, okay? Your kid should be the first thing first. Nobody has made allegations of this person being 20 and 25 and all of the stuff people were saying about Cassie, who actually was more of a girlfriend who was a domestic violence victim. She did have where Diddy was beating the stew out of her, but she was on red carpet. She wasn't a secret. Everybody knew about her. Obviously, we didn't know the extent of what their private life was and all she endured, but you can definitely consider her a girlfriend. He said he was single. He told her, I'm single and I'm dating a bunch of people. We're not even in a relationship. So even for her to refer to him as my partner, she was searching for a word on how she's going to describe this relationship. Y'all wasn't even together. You guys were just cool where you were dating a non-monogamous, she said, an open relationship. That's what you had. He said, I'm single. So I don't even know if he even considered it a relationship. What I'm concerned about is you don't want this slippery slope. It's a lot of people probably looking at this case to try to see how far it goes, because this is how bad case law is created. When you start overextending, overreaching, and all of that, that's how it gets started, is through this type of a process. The thing is, though, Diddy has money. If he's convicted, he about to appeal this joint to the United States Supreme Court if he has to. So This is going to be interesting. I think we all agree there should have been some convictions years ago. There should have been some convictions years ago. Y'all missed the ball in the state court. You missed the ball, and now we're trying to fit it into some of these categories so that we can say this is what. And it's just interesting how the crimes that they have accused him of, even though there are caveats on services or benefits and self-gratification, I guess is what they're saying, they're usually into monetary gain. Like, that's typically what it's for. You're able to affect interstate commerce because you're getting some type of gain out of this. Prostitution, usually you got some pimp. You're getting paid to pimp them out. You're not doing it for your own satisfaction. What Diddy should have did was just got into the porn industry. He could have watched all this stuff all the time and made it a job with the rest of his jobs, rest of his companies. He might as well just have gone ahead, got into the industry, since he liked to direct people. He could have been watching behind closed doors so ain't nobody know that he was out there, pleasuring himself, and had him, his girlfriend or whoever behind the scenes ready to get it in, since that's what he liked. Because this right here is definitely different, okay? Or it's different for me. And again, I'm going from my lens, and there may be people, this might be regular. This may be something they do in the industry all the time. I've heard he ain't make this up. I have heard that this is something that has been done. But yeah, there's that. Yeah, they do have clubs as well. You see, he has a whole production company. They're trying to say he's a swinger as well. I think that was part of the argument. Raynette said, and she was still trying to protect him up until they got caught together and he was arrested. The only reason why she's on the stand is because of the subpoena. For sure. And she probably didn't even consider herself a victim for real until they told her, you either a victim or a participant. Well, so I don't know if that's what they told her, but I'm just saying. She probably, because I think it was, like I said, Cassie was saying she went to some type of rehab that taught, addressed a lot of issues, drugs, sex, all type of stuff. And they told her that, I think they brought up the word ex trafficking. And shortly thereafter, because she went in 2023, she started writing this book. And remember, by the end of the year, she filed that lawsuit. And between that time, she was negotiating to give Diddy the exclusive rights for $30 million, and she wouldn't have put it out there. I know Diddy kick himself every day. I should have just gave this chick this $30 million, because he probably done spending a good $100 on his attorneys. So I know because this was the beginning and the door opening. Everybody felt brave to come forward once Cassie filed her lawsuit and got money. But I think a lot of them just thought theirs was going to end like Cassie's, where he was just going to pay him and wasn't nobody going to fight. But as we see, I don't see anybody that filed a lawsuit that he's just settled with like that. He's taking everybody to the mat. You said, Classy said they couldn't have paid me to take that stand. They threatened you to go to jail. That's the problem. Now, if they can't find you to serve you, then but if you've been subpoenaed and they came to your house, you better show up. So, yeah. Yes, please make sure y'all hit the like button. Just take one brief moment just so we can get in the algorithm. Yeah, I think you're right. Kicking it with Courtney said his reign lasted so long he didn't take Cassie serious. No, and he probably still thought he had Cassie under the thumb too, because when you look at their last exchanges, she didn't seem like she was upset with them. She knew they was both kind of jacked up. He said it's by the grace of God. Basically, we even alive, all the drugs and partying we were doing. And I think what he did was he did tiptoe around to try to stay somewhat in touch with her. to see where her head was at. I think that's what those last texts were, trying to just see where her head is at. But no, Intran, when I say stretching the laws, is sometimes you can have laws again like these that were originated for mafia and gangsters and all of that. Has it been used? We've seen it being used in other ways. State courts, state laws have adopted their own RICO laws. But what you do is, depending on how they're written, how the statutes are written, you try to put more scenarios to fit that statute, is what I mean. So you put more scenarios in. And then when you have a RICO, like I said, all your stuff up for grabs. All your empire is up for grabs. They could try to take all your stuff. So from my understanding, he already has an attorney that is gonna help with the forfeiture, looking at the forfeiture aspects, because you can get all your stuff with a RICO. If they can prove you were using that, a lot of your money you got was gotten ill-gotten gain, they'll be trying to take all of it, not just 20 cents. Not just, they ain't gonna try to divide it. Which part was this? Which part? They gonna try to take all your stuff. They are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gwen said Diddy almost had a Prince moment because he overused his at least once. Yeah, we didn't learn that he even had an episode. So let me get into this real quick. Let me go back. So they putting up pictures right now, and they're putting up pictures of different workers. Do you know who this person is? He was one of the, hotel night entertainers. She didn't know this man's name. This was somebody in 2023. Diddy said it's somebody different that's coming for you. And this was in LA. She said she only saw him one time. She said, let me tell you how she said, so the question is, how did you come to meet this man? Her answer, I remember Sean said that something new was coming. And then I remember I was in the bedroom, and then I guess he greets the guy, and I haven't seen this man yet. And he comes in the bedroom and said that he's cool. It's something different. Let's just see, even just for a little bit. So he would try to get, I guess, new people to come in. And so this was a new person she hadn't met. And what happened after Sean said that? After that, I came out and I was in a robe and lingerie, the whole wardrobe I usually have. When you say you came out, do you mean you came out of the bedroom into the living room? Yes. Of the hotel? Yes. So they took down the picture. What do you remember happening when you went into the living room of the hotel the day you met the man? I remember when I met him, I was polite. I was saying hello, making small talk, but I knew that this was definitely not something that I could fake doing. She said, why is that? Because this man was not attractive to me. And I just couldn't even put on a good spirit for this. So did you try or no? I tried. I tried in the way of dancing, talking, trying to get to know him a little bit better, and I just was repulsed by him. Did you touch this man or no? I let him touch me a little bit more so. About how long did you try to proceed with the hotel night with this man? I would say about 30 minutes. And then what happened? I said, Sean, I want to talk to you in the bedroom. And what happened next? And I told Sean, I really can't do this. I just can't, I'm not attracted to him. I'm not into it. And he said, are you sure? Maybe just a little bit. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I really, really can't. And I want to say I even tried again for a second time to see if there were any type of chemistry. And I walked back in the room with Sean and I was like, I really, really, really can't. I really can't. When you say you tried again to see if there was chemistry, what did you do? I just allowed this man to touch my leg and just see me naked. And I just saw him naked. And I just was repulsed by him. So after that second time trying, where did you and Sean go to talk? Back in the room. And what happened when you talked that second time in the room? I said, I'm sorry. Like, I really can't do this. This is like not something I can even do. How did Sean respond? He just was like, his demeanor was agitated, but he was like, okay, like, all right, and just seemed almost a little confused by it. This wasn't like a typical thing for us to have like a hiccup in the routine of the night. What happened next? I remember we excused the man and the man left. And then did the night end? No. What happened after the man left? I can't recall who, but then there was somebody else who came after. Do you remember having any conversation with Sean after the man whose photo we just looked at left, but before the next person? I don't remember. So that was one of the nights. Then they pull up another one. You said, like, how bad was it that she hit old boy with a stray? You said they got to release this guy's picture as an exhibit. I want to see why he was so disgusted. She said, I draw the line. Okay, I draw the line. I can't. She said, he is too ugly for me. So she drew the line at that. She said she's not attracted. And that's it. That's what I said. That's another time where she had autonomy, where she was like, this ain't what I want. And he was like, okay. She did. She did a lot of this stuff to please him. And well, we don't know what she enjoyed. So they have text messages of her basically saying this is what she want and how she feel, and she want to call this person. And she had her favorites of who she wanted to do it with, who she liked doing it with. And so, but the government's painting that as she did not send that on her own. It was because this is the stuff Sean wanted to hear in his text. So he wanted her to say, oh, this was sexy. Oh, I can't wait to the next hotel night. Oh, he gonna put it like all of that. The only reason why it happened according to them is because, Diddy was like, this what I want. So that's kind of their excuse of why it was that. Tiffany, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate it. That was so kind of you. And thank you. And welcome to everybody to the membership. So let's go on to the next guy. I don't know how many it is, but this is another guy. She met him in New York. So she said she met the man in New York when she was visiting Sean in New York. She says, I remember that Sean was inviting me to New York, and I said, I don't really want to go because I feel like you're going to try to set me up with somebody. And he was saying that that's not what was going to happen, that we were going to have this romantic one-on-one time together in New York. And I was really excited. I trusted those words. And I went to New York. And on my flight was when he says, do you want entertainment tonight? So then the question was, when you arrived in New York, ultimately, did you meet the man in this photo? Yes. So then she says, it was around, I want to say in 2023 sometime, I think. Are you estimating? Yes. So they're going to keep asking about guesstimating and estimating because they don't want anybody doing any more definitive dates that Combs can be like, I was in Africa. I was in Dubai. I was in London. I got my plane ticket. I was in the sky. What is she talking about? So they're going to make sure they're not like, don't give no April 3rd, 2023. All right. Just say around 2023. So they offer the exhibit. Now, you said before you went on this trip, you told Sean you didn't want to have a hotel night. Is that right? Yes. And how did Sean respond to this before you left for New York? So again, they're making it seem like a lot of these hotel nights were premised on fraud because she thought she was going there to have a romantic time, but once she got there, he had entered, they on the plane, and then he's like, do you want to have an entertainment tonight? So she's thinking they don't have to have it. And then when they get there, they're having it. But how many times he gonna do this before you really think that he's gonna have more than that? He could never tell me at this point. He could never just say, "Oh, it's gonna be me and you, baby girl." I'd be like, if you don't kick rocks and boulders and freaking bowling balls at this point. So then she said, "Now you said before you went on the trip, you told Sean you didn't want to have a hotel night. Is that right?" She said, "Yes." "And how did Sean respond to that before you left for New York?" "He said that was fine. It will just be us and that we would have together time." "And what kind of things did Sean tell you you would do in New York?" "He said we would go to dinner, spend time, do some shopping, and just be together." "Did you go to dinner or go shopping with Sean when you came to New York?" "No." "You mentioned being on the flight. When you got on the flight, were you able to get Wi-Fi at some point?" "Yes." See how they got to add that? Because when you in the plane, typically your phone ain't working. So now the government is making sure that's not an argument. So they're like, "Were you able to get Wi-Fi while you're in the air?" "Yes." "And when you got Wi-Fi when you were on the flight, what did you see on your phone?" So they covering bases. They covering where they say, "Was your phone working in the sky?" Like what? "Yes." "And when you got the Wi-Fi, what did you see on your phone?" "I saw Sean sending me a text about, 'Do you want entertainment or can we have entertainment tonight?'" "And how did you feel when you saw the text when you were in midair on the way to New York?" I felt really disappointed. I felt like my high of seeing my lover was just like shot down. Like I just felt this like heaviness. Like, damn, I'm sorry. I just felt this weight over me. Like I felt like a balloon popped. "When you landed in New York, where did you go?" "I went to the Trump Hotel." "And what happened after you got to the Trump Hotel?" "I remember that Sean had some gifts for me, some clothes. So I was happy to see that. And then I remember I went downstairs. I went to the car and it was getting so late that this dinner was non existent because it was already like 1 in the morning." "Where were you waiting for the dinner?" "I was waiting in the SUV for him." "What was Sean doing while you were waiting?" "Talking to his entourage outside." "And how long did you wait?" "Like 40 minutes in there." So they pull up a whole nother exhibit. "Do you recognize this, Jane?" "Yes." "What is this?" "It's a photo that I took waiting in the car of the window of the hotel room." "Who took this photo?" "I did." "And where were you when you took this photo?" "I was in the SUV." "Waiting for who?" "Sean." "Why did you take the photo?" "For one, honestly, I thought it looked kind of creative. And for two, I was like, wow, that's extremely obvious." "What's extremely obvious?" "The red light room." "And what did you understand was happening in the red light room?" "That it was being set up." "Who was setting it up?" "The assistants." "Who assistants?" "Sean's." "And what were they setting it up for, to your understanding?" "To have a hotel night." "After you waited for Sean, what did you and Sean end up doing that night?" "I remember we found a little bar lounge thing that was getting ready to close and we just kind of bickered and we just bickered back and forth. And then I want to say I was handed a pill and I went back to the hotel with him." "What were you and Sean bickering about?" "I was bickering about just how I was done with this and I didn't want to do this. And like, why, like every time I see you, like this is happening and something along those lines." And I just remember he was just like super defensive and saying, like, "We don't have to do any of this stuff. I don't need to do any of this. And we don't have to do this at all." And just defensive. In the context of this conversation, what was the this that you were telling Sean you did not want to do? "That I didn't want to do any more of these nights with these men." "And when Sean said that you don't have to do it anymore, how did you react?" "I was just listening, but in my heart, I know he didn't mean that." "What makes you say that?" "Because it still happened that night." "So what happened after you left that club where you were bickering?" "We went back to the hotel room. And on the way to the hotel room, what if anything did Sean give you?" "Ecstasy." "Did you take it?" "Yes." "And what happened when you got to the hotel room?" I was back in an outfit and in a robe, and Sean said that he had something coming. And what happened next? I think I remember greeting this man. I said, hello. He walked into the living room and we all just made small talk. And when you say this man, do you mean the man whose photo we were just looking at in the government's exhibit? Yes. You said you walked into the living room. Were you in a hotel suite? Yes. What happened in the living room with Sean, you and this man? We were just having conversations, and I remember we were just trying to have some sort of chemistry, but I could feel that this wasn't going to be a thing. And I was kind of trying to dance a little bit. I let the man touch my leg a little bit, and I just wasn't into anything about this guy. So what did you do? I took Sean to the bedroom and I talked to him privately. What did you tell Sean in the bedroom? That I just couldn't do this. How did Sean respond? He responded agitated. He was just agitated that he was just like, okay. And then what happened next? And then at that point, it's just me and Sean, and we're just together. And he's like, just kind of like, I can't wait to see what you have for me next, or what would make this better, or what would we do? What surprises do you have for me, or something? And in that moment, I just want to make it up to him that he wasn't going to have to like this night that he envisioned. And so I messaged Cabral. Why did you feel like you needed to make it up to him if just earlier that night you told him you don't want to do these nights anymore? And Sean said you don't have to. Really hard question to answer. I just, at this point in my relationship, I just knew that that's what would make my partner the happiest. And I just wanted to give him what he wanted, and I wanted to make him happy, and I wanted to just have a good upbeat night with him. At this point, was Sean paying for your rent or not yet? I believe so. So there was times when she was doing a lot of this stuff and he was not paying her rent. So even trying to say financial distress is kind of like you was doing this before this money was coming in. And at this point, had you had any conversation with Sean where he had referenced your rent in connection with these nights? Yes. Can you tell us about that? The court said, can you clarify? In the period between when you moved into your home in approximately April or May 2023, mind you, she met him in what, 21? So he didn't like, she didn't move into her home till about a year before he was indicted. So she moved in her home about 3 or 4 months before Cassie's lawsuit, about 5 months before the lawsuit. And this might be the person of which there was conversation when they was trying to keep him out on bond, where it's something about him paying somebody's rent, and he told them he still was gonna pay their rent. They ain't got to worry about it and all of that stuff. And they were trying to say it was, he was trying to affect the testimony or affect, like, obstruct justice. It may have been this because it was some text about some rent or something in the government's response related to the bail. It was so much back and forth. I have to look into it to double check. But so this trip was later in 2023. Did you have a conversation, one or more conversations with Sean where he brought up your rent in connection with these hotel nights? Yes. Can you tell us about these, please? I just remember it's kind of fuzzy, but if you show me something, I'll remember. We'll walk through some of your messages a little later. But in the meantime, you mentioned Cabral. Yes. You messaged Cabral? I did. What did you say to Cabral when you messaged him? I think I said something along the lines of that I would love to see him in New York and that I wasn't too far. And if he could make it happen, that I would love to see him. And how did he respond? He responded happy and he was excited. And he got on a flight that same couple of hours and he was in New York that night. Who booked the flight? I believe I did. Who were you with when you booked Cabral's flight? Sean. And where was the flight from? From Atlanta to New York. And who paid for the flight? Me then. Why do you say me then? It came from my card. I paid for it. And then were you reimbursed? Yes. By who? Sean. What happened when Cabral came to New York? I remember when Cabral came, it was fine. He was nice. We had a good time. Cabral is somebody that I'm familiar with, and Sean was really happy with our interaction. What did you and Cabral do in New York? We had X in front of who? Sean. Where did you have X with Cabral in front of Sean while in New York? At the Trump Hotel in New York. After you finished having it with Cabral in front of Sean in the Trump Hotel, what, if any, money did you give to him? I remember at the very end, Sean and I had to go our separate ways away from the hotel, and I wanted to make sure that Cabral didn't feel like we just up and left and forgot about him. So I made sure that he had money in an envelope, and I made sure that one of the assistants had left it at the front desk for Cabral. Where did the money come from, Sean? How much money was it? It was probably a few thousand. And do you remember which assistant took the money and left it in the front desk for Cabral? I believe it was Joey. Jane, we've walked through a number of different photographs of entertainers that you saw on these hotel nights. Were there any men that Sean brought to hotel rooms for hotel nights who we have not seen in the photograph so far? Yes. How many? I would say that I can remember 3. I'd like to walk through those. So she says there's an African American man that was early in the relationship. It was in LA. They had X. They did it twice. Okay, the next person is the Spanish looking buff man. She met him at a hotel. Where do you remember meeting that man? At a hotel in LA. She messed with him once. That was about 2022-ish. And then they said, can you tell us what happened when you met him? I remember that this guy was a bit odd. I just felt like he was just a bit odd, but he was pulling out this like scent to smell, something to smell during X. I don't know. Did you end up having X with the man in front of Sean? Yes. And who was the third person you remember as an entertainer from these hotels that the photos we haven't seen? I remember this one guy. He looked European. And where do you remember meeting him at? I think at the hotel. In what city? LA. How many times do you remember meeting him? I would say twice. And what do you remember happening both times? X with the man. So then the government says, now taking a step back, all the entertainers that we have talked about today, other than Cabral and Antoine, who introduced those men to the hotel night? Sean. Before Sean brought them to the hotel nights, had you met any of them? No. Had you spoken with any of them? No. Did you know their names? No. Did you want to have X with any of the entertainers we've talked about? No. Who did you want to have X with? Just Sean. Of the entertainers that we talked about, were there ones who you saw more frequently than others? Yes. Which ones did you see more frequently? Paul. And then who else after that? I would say maybe Cabral. Which of the entertainers did you personally reach out to arrange a meeting for a hotel night? I would personally reach out to Cabral, Antoine, Paul, sometimes Don. Did you ever try to tell Sean that you didn't want to arrange for entertainment? More than likely. Do you have specific memory of that though? Maybe. I don't know. Did you ever arrange a party with an entertainer or a hotel night with an entertainer as a surprise for Sean? Yes. About how many times do you remember doing that? Maybe twice. Why did you arrange entertainers as a surprise 2 times if you didn't want to have X with the other men? I feel like at whatever moment that was, maybe it was some sort of celebration or something, like Valentine's Day or him coming back from a long trip or something. I knew it was to be expected. And also I could hear the gray lines in between his words that when we saw each other, that's what he wanted to happen. When you say you knew it was to be expected by whom? By Sean. What did you understand Sean expected of you? I understood that he expected me to coordinate a night where he had an entertainer join us. And you said that you could read between the lines. What do you mean by that? I mean, we didn't have to specifically tell me to do it. So he didn't tell her directly to do it. If he said things like, I can't wait to see what you have for me or something along those lines, I just knew what task that was being asked of me. And what task do you understand was being asked of you? to set up something for me and Sean? What specifically? An entertainer for the night. Throughout the period between May 2021 and October 2023, how did you feel about Sean? I loved him very deeply. Did you tell Sean that every day? Throughout that same period, who did you want to have sex with Sean? Did you tell Sean that? Yeah, they are so redundant with these questions. You've talked a little bit about seeing Cash during some of these hotel nights. How often do you remember seeing Cash in these rooms? Pretty often. Okay. They talk about the drawers of the Cash. We talked about that before. Seeing Cash get dropped off. Then they want to talk about the first time. They remember them dropping off Cash. Who do you remember Sean calling for Cash from hotel rooms? Of course, KK and security. We heard that before. After he make the calls, the Cash would appear. She don't know exactly how much it was, but it was a good amount. He's handed Cash to Don and Paul and all of that. Let's see. What was the first time you remember him handing Cash to Don? When you were done doing it. What about Pa? I think it's interesting the defense keep asking for time periods. They're going to come back refuting some of these times like how they just did on Bongolan. During the other hotel nights, when the men would finish having sex with you and be done, what would you usually do? I would go to the bedroom and wait for Sean. And in the meantime, where would Sean be? Outside saying bye to them or with me? So were there times when Sean would say goodbye to the men and you would not be in the room? You described you being in the bedroom. Where would Sean be? Outside in the living room. With who? With the men to say bye. And then you mentioned that you handed money to Cabral and Antoine. Do you do that once or more than once? More than once? During how many of these nights that you had with Cabral and Antoine did you hand them money? How many times? I can't recall. She doesn't remember a time where they didn't receive money. Okay. Jane, you mentioned earlier that Sean would sometimes film these hotel nights. Is that right? Yes. How often during your relationship with him did Sean record you having sex with other men during hotel nights? Almost every time. What did you see Sean use to make those recordings? His iPhone. And what, if anything, did Sean say to you and the entertainer when he would bring out his iPhone? He knew he wouldn't say anything. He would just start recording. And while recording, well, exactly, go ahead. He just say something like, it's just for me or it's just for us. Throughout these hotel nights, did Sean behave essentially the same way each time, or was it different across the times? He would be different sometime. How so? I mean, sometimes he'd be super happy, be really happy. Maybe just on some rare occasions, he would be unhappy, a bit upset. Across your hotel nights with Sean throughout the entirety of your relationship, did Sean ever give you directions about what to do during hotel nights? Yes. How often? Often. Were there times when he didn't give any direction? She says probably never. What instructions do you remember him giving you most often? How to use the baby oil on the men and how to touch yourself, and while that was happening, and how to have the man stand there for some time, and I would just be there for many hours in that position. You would stay in the same position for many hours? You would stay in the same position? She said yes. Who would tell you to do that, Sean? What other instructions do you remember Sean giving you multiple times across these hotel nights? I remember Sean would say things like, do you want to taste it? Do you want to do this or stroke it or just let it hang, just let it drip, and just touch yourself and things like that? How did you respond to all of Sean's instructions in this room? Oh, Lord. Y'all arguing over here? Right, that's that very much rehearsed. Oh, God. That's what I'm saying. The defense, I can't wait to see how the defense handles this. This testimonial is infuriating. She remained in control and didn't get assaulted like Cassie that we know of. We haven't heard assaults yet. And I don't want to say yet like it's going to happen, but no, we have not heard anything about that. And they just said, what would happen if you didn't do it? And she said he was unhappy. He was agitated. So how did you respond to all of Sean's instruction in these rooms? On command? When the camera was on you, when you knew that Sean was recording you, how did you react? I was fine with it. It was just a part of what was happening. Did Sean ever record you when you were sober in these rooms? No. What drugs were you under the influence of when Sean recorded you? So, they trying, I guess, say she couldn't have consented because she was high. Did them up. Ecstasy and Molly. Did you enjoy having sex with other men in these rooms, Jane? No. They've asked this question 50,000 times. Did you act like you enjoyed it? Yes. If you didn't enjoy it, why did you act like it? If you didn't enjoy it, why did you act like it? Because I wanted to put on a good show. For who? Sean. After doing a few of these hotel nights for Sean, did you have an understanding of what a good show would be for Sean? Yes. What was that understanding? Just like hours and hours of foreplay and lots of X. During these nights, what if any fantasy talk did you engage in? Okay. Then they said, would you sometimes laugh or joke during these nights? Yes. So they must got video. See, that was part of what they were saying. They looked at these videos, which is probably crazy for the defense team. They looked at these videos and they was like, everybody was enjoying it. What are they talking about? These girls was enjoying it. So they have to explain why they look like they're enjoying it on these videos, even to the point of laughing and stuff. So then she said, why would you laugh or joke if you didn't want to have sex with these men? I was high. I was happy to be with my partner. I was in the moment with everything going on. And throughout this whole time, how did you feel about Sean? I loved him deeply. Girl, why? What has he done for her to love him aside from pay her bills? What has he done? Was he a father figure to your kid? What, did your mama get sick or something and he was there? Was he flying out by your side when you were sick? Was he there emotionally for you? What would make you fall in love from this guy, from this behavior, aside from the fact that he has money? What about him would make you fall in love with him? I'm so confused. I'm confusion right now. What would help me understand, y'all? What would make you? I was deeply in love with him, a man that don't never want to spend time with me. I only see him when he want to see me. I gotta keep my hair and makeup and toes and stuff together because he may call me on Friday and I got to be ready. Even though I'm a parent, I gotta be ready and on call like I'm a doctor at the hospital for this cat. What about this dude? He was just way too up on her totem pole. Cause ain't no way he would have been something to mess with, but that would have been it. Ty said we can't make sense of nonsense because we got sense. I could totally see if like he was there at some pivotal time in your life. You met this trash can. You met him and you met Mr. Holmes when you was with your girlfriend. He told you he was garbage when he was talking to you, getting your number, going past the bathroom, y'all flirting with each other, texting each other in the movie room, and he with your homegirl. He told you what it was. He met you while he was with other people. What about this man made you fall in love with him that deep? Anna Lee Kell said $10K a month, not including free trips, gifts, and food. That's not love, that's support. Okay. Put it in the category it belongs in. Just put it in the category it belongs. He was your sugar daddy or whatever. Like, put it in the category it belongs. But in love, he was so charming and sweet. Yeah, I bet. He's good at this. He's been doing it for years. I'm just... And you only got 10,000. I'm mad at that. Do you know this man, this Joker's net worth? They said he made $4 million already in jail renting out his doggone jet. $4 million. And you getting 10,000 a month? That means he's sitting in jail, waiting to be tried, waiting for his trial to happen and what the outcome is gonna be. And he made $4 million by just twiddling his thumb and sitting there. And you get 10K. Like, I'm just mad. Her ignoring his obsession with that's even more crazier. He ain't even want to see you. It seemed like he had to do that just to even engage. And she said, what, 90% of the time or whatever high percentage she making. Or said, I never liked him either. He made Sean do time in his place. Diddy has been getting away with stuff for a long time. That's what she alleges. She got 250K. Paula, that's what Carisha, that's what they allege. But the thing was, Carisha was popping. So because Carisha was popping, she did not need him. She had her own money. She didn't come to him with no story of I'm a single parent struggling. She had her own notoriety. She had her own following. And this honestly would help both of them. He had the money and he had the knowledge and the wisdom to help her to move up, do the whole podcast thing, whatever, and to add more to her portfolio. But she was relevant to the younger generation, and it was beneficial to him as well to be seen with her. Just like it was beneficial to him to be with J-Lo at that time, and J-Lo to him. But you see how long that lasted. You see the beneficial relationships on both sides where they got their own identity and money, they don't seem to last that long. It's the ones that are reliant and show they're relying on this man or don't have their own identity. So they're basically geeked to be with him. Because to be with him brings you status and brings you yachts and brings you jets and stuff you ain't used to. Man, she made me mad. A lot of men, like when you have your own, they typically will do more for you in those cases because you don't need them. And it looks more like you're not with them to use them. I think Carisha genuinely liked him. Like, she was cool. She liked hanging out with him. She liked spending time with him. I think she genuinely liked him. And then if she genuinely liked him, that means like he can accept that more because he know that she has her own. So now in order to even contribute and add to her, you got to pay 250K. You got to show videos of you taking her to the Chanel shop, to the Chanel store, and her getting $100,000 worth of stuff. Like, you have to. Brianna said he would always talk about what a great person Carisha was. Listen, let me go back here because this is just irritated me. Okay. So there's a few exhibits in the evidence that they put up. So she shows the picture of herself and Don, herself and Cabral, herself and Paul, herself, another one of her and Don, her and Leo, her and Don, her and Paul. I'm not gonna see. Her and Antoine, her and Cabral. Her and Paul, her and Cabral. There's a lot of pictures. Her and Paul. And that was at Sean's home in Mapleton. So then, Jane, for each of the hotel nights that you attended during your relationship with Sean, what, if any, preparation did you do to get ready for those nights? I remember I would just be always on point as far as my glam. Like I would have my nails done, my hair done, my makeup, my tan. I would have outfits already ready, shoes, things like that. She wore the same type of shoes, the high stripper shoes. She would have them on the entire night. What did that feel like? She said it was a lot. What would happen with the baby oil when you were wearing those shoes all night? I just remember my feet being really sticky and oily. And then I would always just try to remain balanced on my steps. Maybe a couple of times I had slipped. And yeah. Wait, if any piercings, did Sean ask you to get? Sean asked me to get the nipple pierced. I think we talked about that before already. About when did he ask you to do that? I would say, I'm not sure, maybe end of 22 or early 2023. When Sean asked you to get your pierced, did he say why? He said that will really turn him on and that's what he wanted from his girl. Did you end up getting them pierced? Yes. How did you find a place to get them pierced? He was recommending a place in LA that I would go. And how did you get an appointment at that place? KK helped me set up an appointment for this piercing place. Did you get them pierced? Yes. What did it feel like? Felt like a rodent bit on my nipples really hard. That sounds painful. For how long did you keep those piercings in? I kept them in for about a year. Why did you take them off after a year? Because they snagged and bled and got infected. What did they snag on? One of my lingerie outfits. How did Sean react when you took out your nipple piercings? He was okay with it at first, but then I could tell he was getting impatient with how long it was taking me to put them back in. How did you know that? Because he would say things like, where are my piercings? Where are my piercings? This is the last time I see you when you don't have any piercings on. What did you understand Sean was referring to when he said my piercings? I understood he was referring to me, my body, me, his girl. Did you ever experience back pain during any of these hotel nights? Yes. During how many? All of them. What kind of back pain did you experience during these hotel nights? I would just, my shoulders hurt, my back hurt, my lower back hurt. What made your shoulder and back hurt? Because I would be at the edge of the seat or at the edge of the bed in the position that he liked me doing foreplay on these men. For how long? Many hours. Why would you stay in that position for many hours if it hurts you? Because that's what my partner wanted to see. What, if any, infections did you have as a result of these hotel nights? I often got UTIs and yeast infections. About how often did you get a UTI after a hotel night? Almost every week. What did it feel like to have a UTI? It felt like burning and constant urination. What treatment did you get for your UTIs? Antibiotics? What, if anything, did you tell Sean about the UTIs you were getting so frequently? Sometimes I would tell him, sometimes I wouldn't. About how long would you have to recover from a UTI before having another hotel night with Sean? I would say it varied between a week and a half, a couple of weeks. It really varied. Were there ever times you couldn't recover fully from a UTI before having another hotel night? Yes. How often did that happen? It happened here and there. Did you ever get sore anywhere other than your back as a result of these hotel nights? Yes. What part of your body got sore as a result of these hotel nights? My vajayjay. Did you ever tell Sean during one of these hotel nights that your vajayjay was sore? Probably not. Why do you say probably not? Because I just didn't want to indicate like any negativity. About what percentage of hotel nights did you get sore in your pelvic area during? 100% of them. Did you stop when you got sore? Sometimes no, sometimes yes. On the time you didn't stop, why didn't you stop? I'm not sure. The court said, can we take a brief sidebar? So they're basically talking about whether they think this Jane Doe can last on the stand till 5 o'clock. Jane, do you have an estimate about how many times you told Sean that you did not want to keep having these hotel nights? They have asked this question ad nauseum. I don't have an estimate, but I know I definitely wasted in a sense of mostly text messages. Generally, when you tried to bring this up over the phone or in person, how did Sean react? So there was an objection as to time. The judge sustained it. She said, between May 2021 and October 2023, did you try to bring this up with Sean over the phone and in person? Yes. Once or more than once? More than once. And each time, did he react essentially the same way? Yes. How did he react? Just upset, defensive, belittling, dismissive. When you had these conversations over the phone and in person with Sean, were you able to get all of your words out? No. Why not? Because he would overpower the conversation. What do you mean? It was hard to get a word in. What, if anything, did you do to help collect your thoughts and prepare to tell Sean how you felt? I would often go in my notes. What are your notes? In my iPhone, I had this app, which was my notes. And this was my only avenue to get my feelings out and write my thoughts and my feelings. And then after you wrote your thoughts and your feelings out in your notes, what did you do with what you had written in those notes? Sometimes I would feel better just getting it out and writing it. And sometimes I would just have the courage to actually send it to him. Send it to who? Sean. In a text message? Yes. I want to jump forward in time. Toward the end of your relationship with Sean, what, if anything, did Sean tell you or say to you about whether you had ever told him you wanted to stop these hotel nights? I just remember he said that I never told him, or that like he wasn't aware of how I was feeling. At the time he told you that towards the end of your relationship, did you believe him? I did. So you're acknowledging that he's saying he ain't know that she really ain't want to do these hotel nights, and you believed him when he said it. Since then, have you reviewed some of your text messages with Sean from your relationship? I have. What do you realize when you reviewed those text messages? I realized that since 2021 that I have been saying the same thing over and over again. So she realized that even though she believed him when he said he didn't know she ain't want to participate in these hotel nights, that she had been writing it down and sent him texts. So that was a lie, because she told him she really ain't want to do it based on her text. So the court said, well, the government said, what did you realize? That it really wasn't. I told you, I was like, there was some conversation with the government or somebody, some way she was basically told You got information that looks like you really ain't want to do this, and you let him know you ain't want to do this, and he still was trying to do this anyway. So even though you may think that you wanted to do it, you show you really wanted to do it. Because based on these texts, it looked like you really ain't want to do it. So yeah. But you know what? Diddy, this kind of your karma too. When you play around with some people and you know that they falling in love with you like that, somebody like a Carisha might have been safe. They gonna pack they rap. She adamant. Ain't none of this happened to her. She don't even know what you talking about. This was his love air. She was the freak at times. She said certain things she did in that doggone. They sounds like Carisha might mess with him like that. Not the freak off or whatever. But I think that they had their time. She enjoyed her times with him, and she ain't got nothing but positive stuff to say. You cannot, knowing this person is, once she was calling you, complaining about you being with other women, you should have dropped her and left her alone. Cause you knew she ain't like you, she liked you way more than you liked her. You told her you loved her and she just melted away. So some of this, regardless of whether you told her up front and you falling back on that, when you seen that she loved you and she liked you way more than you liked her, this how people be crazy. This how they go and they go after other women and they go try to fight them and they be arguing. They go find where they live at and all type of crazy stuff can happen when you got women that love you like that. So some of this you put on yourself, regardless of what you told her in the beginning. You should have left her alone when you realize she was way in love with you and that it's a potential she's only doing things because you want her to. So you kind of took that risk too. I'm just saying. Yeah, you said that girl was willing. This is not a Rico. And you got to deal with how much information did she receive about what Diddy was doing with other women that helped formulate where she really realized I just really was just a jump off. I was a sneaky link. I was really I wasn't just a side piece. I was a super side piece. And then with the thoughts of he may go to prison anyway, so he may not be beneficial to me. Let me wait. I don't know. Well, he told them originally that that's what he wanted, but you always take that risk when somebody is telling you they in love with you like that. You're taking that risk. I'm not saying he put it up front. He tried to be honest with her. He wasn't trying to go behind her back. But like, if you know she like that, why would you post stuff and allegedly, I guess, seeing you? We didn't get to that part that people were saying, I guess, happened about a birthday and going to Turks and Caicos and all of that. So I'll save that commentary. But he was telling her Carisha was business, which was lies. I don't believe that. I think it was business too. It was good for both of them. I just explained why. As a celebrity, sometimes the look of it all, just like him and J-Lo, in my opinion. They said Whitney and Bobby. Sometimes relationships, they make it from an industry standpoint. You have an industry type relationship where it benefits both of your careers. So I think Carisha benefited the career for both of them. And they had fun in the same sense because she probably ain't want nothing real with him. He ain't really want nothing real with her. She benefited with the money and the shopping sprees and then the podcast and whatever else he helped her get. And then people in her generation, they're looking at Diddy. Like now that's basically another group of people. So that is like, it was business too. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. Tomorrow, Leader Sports said he was trying to be honest and he enjoyed her company in the beginning, but she became a headache and he didn't know how to tell her goodbye. And I think honestly, once she realized that he didn't really want to be with her like that, she also used them them hotel nights to keep him around. That's what she knew what he wanted. And so in order to when she knew that he really ain't like her like that, she did that to keep him around. That's what I think. George Houston said every last one of his concubines wanted to get married to get the chance to steal half of his fortune. Well, dang, George. Just me said this is definitely karma for her messing with a dude her friend was with. Now her friend probably looking back like, woo, her friend probably over here Harlem shaking with her man over there in a whole nother country. A man ain't proposed to you and move you to a whole nother country. He got a couple dollars too. The friend don't seem like she was messing with no brokes. All right, let's see what else they got in here. It's almost 800 of y'all in here. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Okay, so she realized basically that she been telling him since early in the relationship she really ain't want to do these. So here's a text message. Can you read us these two text messages, please? The answer, it says, I'm definitely feeling some type of way. Homegirl is posting being there with you. See what I'm saying? What were you talking about in these texts? I was feeling really jealous and really sad because I remember when I had come home, I was feeling bad that I went on a trip with Sean and it turned into a hotel night. And when I was home, I could see that he was with another woman doing all these quality things, that quality time together, togetherness, things like that. Like I really wanted to do with my partner. How were you able to see that if you weren't with him anymore? I would look at their Instagram stories and they would be posting. And what did you see on their Instagram stories in November of 2021? I remember them posting in his gym, in his studio, The View. Jane, if you know that Sean was seeing other women, why were you jealous of him being with this other woman? Me now, here now, a more evolved me, I can definitely say that the reason why objection sustained, probably because she was going to get into the psychological effects, like, to get a psychological reason. Jane, back in that moment, why were you jealous if you knew that he was dating other women? I was jealous here because I felt mistreated, that I was coming there to do hotel night. And when I leave, he's giving another woman this quality time that I was like begging for. So what's the next text that you send? I said, so I genuinely thought you were just missing me. And the question, and then can we go to the next text? What did you say next? She says, I said, I thought on a quick 1 to 2 day trip, you just wanted to see me, but wanted a Don and Sly moment within that time, hotel vibes. What did you mean when you said a Don and Sly moment? I meant that I thought he wanted to see me. Instead, I ended up in a hotel for 2 days. And who are Don and Sly? Entertainers. Do you know Sly by any other names? Cabral. And when you said hotel vibes, what were you referring to? These hotel nights. What's the next text you wrote? I said, so I come in and do that while you go back to being laid up and booed up for days. And can we read the text at the bottom of this page, please? I say, I see what I'm turning into in your eyes. For how long had you been having hotel nights at this point? At this point, they were happening often. Was this still relatively early in the relationship? Yes. Can we go to pages 5 and 6, please? Jane, can you read us the top 2 messages, please? I said, I need a breather and a break from you. This doesn't make me feel good at all. Your true intentions with me are in plain sight. Hope you two have a great Thanksgiving. What were you referring to when you said, I need a breather and a break from you? I was referring to the pressure of these nights and performing these nights. And what were you referring to when you wrote, this doesn't make me feel good at all? I was referring to X with other men. And what were you referring to when you wrote, your true intention with me are in plain sight? I meant that I was starting to realize all that he called me for and wanted me for. What's the next text you sent? I said, don't you say you, can I curse? You can read it. Don't say you effing miss me and you're bored over there. Just don't say ish to me at all. You don't deserve me. You can take that down. And Miss Gavin, can you leave this up and can you please play for us government exhibit? Got the number. Jane, what's the green bubble that we see there? I believe that's a voice note, a message. From who? Sean. To who? Myself. So they played it. Jane, how often did Sean speak to you using this tone and language we just heard in that voice note? Often. Throughout that message, Sean was referring to she. What did you understand he was talking about when he said she? The woman he was dating? Is that the same woman who you had seen on Instagram? Yes. How many times did Sean call you effing crazy when you tried to raise concerns about having to do these hotel nights while other women he saw were treated differently? He would call me crazy all the time. How did it make you feel when he talked to you that way? It would make me feel confused, just down. Let's go to page 7. What did you say in this response? I said, ain't nobody just come to work out. She's been there for days and posting the studio, etc. Stop lying. Funny thing is, I don't even care. What's the next text? I don't even effing care who you lay out with. Why were you saying you don't care who Sean is with? I said I didn't care about who he was with. It was what they were doing that made me jealous. I wanted that time with him. That was what I wanted from him. What's the next text? I said, you've been saying you miss me and I want to see me. So then they go to the next one. I say, but you're lying. You just want the hotel-ish. What were you referring to when you said you just want the hotel-ish? I was referring to he just wants to see me have sex with other men. Why were you bringing up hotels in a conversation where we're talking about Sean being with another woman? Because I'm trying to put it into perspective for him that there's just an imbalance here. There's just an imbalance. An imbalance between what? How I was treated versus how they were being treated. And how are you being treated? I was being treated like I was the one who had to take this on. I had to take all of this on and they didn't. Can you read the next text you wrote, please? I said, it's not me you miss or want. What were you referring to there? I was referring to me addressing that it's not me that you want, it's these nights. Is this the end of the same conversation on November 22nd, 2021? Yes. And what did you write? I said, off this. What did Sean write? Have a blessed day. You know, that's the courteous way to say F you. You know how people get. You get me saying we go together. We go together. Oh, Jesus help me. Queen V said you should have left. Oh, gosh. Hold on, let me see. Okay. You telling me to hurry up, girl? I said goodbye. You know, people be like, have a blessed day. Goodbye. And then on the other page, the next text you send, what's the day of the next page text? The date is November 24th, 2021. And can you read the bottom text for us? I say, baby, do you remember what happened between? I'm sorry. Can you read the third text? Yes, I said, FaceTime me. What are you doing? Do you remember what happened between the argument we just read on November 22nd and these different texts on November 24th? Yes. What happened? Sean FaceTimed me and calmed me down. What kinds of things did he say to calm you down, if you remember? We can only guess what type of things a manipulating Negro is going to say so he can get his way. I just know generally whenever we would have these types of back and forth, that whenever he would FaceTime, he would say there was an objection. Jane, about how often would you have fights with Sean about not wanting to do hotel nights and then have a FaceTime with him after the fight? It would happen often. Each time you had a FaceTime with him after the fight, did essentially the same thing happen? Yes. What happened? I would get cooled down. I would just calm down. He would say all the things I wanted to hear. He would say that it's not what I'm thinking, that he would just downplay whatever it was that I was freaking out about, that he loved me, that he missed me, can't wait to see me, blah, blah, blah. And it would be done. Girl, no. So they put up another exhibit. What are the dates of these messages? January 29, 2022. So then they go to the bottom. This is February 5th, 2022. So it's on my birthday. What did you write on that day? I said, baby, should I wear a white or black dress? Who did you send that to? Sean. Can we go down to the next page and see the next text? How did Sean respond? He said, black, and said, you ready? And what did you say? I said, okay, on black, and like in 15 minutes. And can we go to pages? Well, at this point, do you remember what was going on around the time you had this conversation? This was me preparing to meet him for my birthday. This was around your birthday in 2022? Yes. Where did you spend your birthday in 2022? I remember I spent it at the Waldorf in Los Angeles. And before you went to the Waldorf in Los Angeles, what, if anything, had Sean told you he had planned for your birthday? He said that we were going to go to dinner and just hang out, be with each other. Were you expecting to have sex with other men on your birthday? Definitely not. What ended up happening when you went to the Waldorf in your birthday on 2022? I ended up meeting somebody new, which was Leo, and I ended up having sex with Leo. Who brought Leo in on your birthday? Sean. Do you remember any conversation about that on your birthday? He said that he had entertainment coming and that it would be fun and that I would like it. How did you react? This point, I was really high and in love with my partner, and I was okay with it. So now you go down to the page, zoom into the green bottom and the blue. What did Sean text you on February 11, 2022? He said, why you ain't been answering my calls? And what did you say in response? I said, I just hit your other phone. How many phones did Sean use at this time? 2. And how did you know which one to communicate with? Just whatever he messaged me on? What had happened between your birthday where you met Leo and these texts on February 11, 2022? I remember at this time, that's when he started dating another woman. And it was really heartbreaking for me because I felt that I saw this big grandiose birthday that he did for her versus the type of birthday that I just experienced with him. How did you see the birthday that Sean planned for another woman? I saw it through Instagram. He ain't give a dang, okay? What did you see on Instagram? I saw that the woman had a private jet, that he had booked a villa on a nice island with her and her friends and just did such a beautiful birthday celebration for this woman. So let's keep reading your text. Can you read what you said on the other page, please? I said, I don't know how we're going to make it okay out of this, Sean. And then what did you say next? I said, put yourself in my shoes right now. And can we read the next text, please? I said, I see the entire island vacation home, the dressed up PJs, all the effort you've put into this. That's why you were blowing me up on my birthday, acting like you had planned so much for us, because you knew I would see all of this and what a drastic difference it is. Now this is a proper birthday plan. Why do you try to play me like that? 1 minute you go off about how she's just a business partner. The next you go off about how much money she spends on you. So now you're trying to put the financial competition in my face. Imagine how weird it would make you feel if I ever told you some man spent money on me. And that's exactly what you should have did, sis. Shh, let me tell you something. What you should have did, I ain't gonna say, because Diddy was a little, he was a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So you kind of had to be careful with it. Because we seen, I think with Cassie might have, I don't know. After looking at that video, you had to be careful with it. However, the way he would have been out here guessing about what I was doing and who I was doing it with, he would have picked a side. He would have chose a side. He probably would dump me. Because I'm going to match your energy. Oh, okay. You doing that, I'm doing that too. What you doing, you are going to set the trajectory of how this relationship is going to go. What were you talking about when you said she's just a business partner? I was referring to the woman he was dating and how when their romance started happening, he was telling me that it was all business. That I don't believe the things that were online and that it was not like that. So he told her, don't believe the stuff you see. Baby girl, don't believe the hype. It's all for the gram. So they go to page 6 and 7. What did you write to Sean? I said, I don't ever want to do another hotel entertainment night with you. I didn't even want to do those things with you on my birthday, but I wanted to make sure we had fun. I feel so cheap once again. Now it's starting to sound like she uses that in order to, like, that's all she has to get back at him. Because otherwise he don't give a damn. So your punishment is, I'm not going to do this ever again because I just saw you with another woman. If you want to be in my face with other women, then I'm not going to do these hotel nights. What do you remember happening after you sent this text to Sean? I remember we probably had a FaceTime. That's speculative. Over the next year, did these hotel nights continue? Yes. Did you want to be doing them? No. Over the next year, what sort of activities or outings did Sean tell you that you would get to do with him? He told me that we would go on more dates, that we would go on more trips, and we would travel and just do normal things together that I really craved to do. And how many of those things did you do? Hardly none of them. Did you go on any trips? No. What did you do most of the time you saw Sean over the next year? Hotel nights. So now they pull up another exhibit. Jane, do you recognize this? I do. What is this? This is my notes. So the notes that she was saying she would write down whenever she felt some kind of way, and she would screenshot some of them and send it to him. So this is November 26, 2022. Is this one of the notes that you talked about writing earlier? Yes. And in this note, were you describing how you were feeling at the time you wrote it? Yes. Your Honor, the government offers this into evidence. It was admitted, blase, and zoomed into the black box. What was the date? November 26, 2022. And are we looking at all of the notes you wrote on that date or just some of it? Just some of it. Would you please read the parts that are visible? I say, I've just been waiting for you to do all the things you promised me and nothing. You hurt my feelings every time you dismiss me. It's belittling. You always ask of me, and when I ask of you, it's a problem, or I'm made to feel weird about it. We both deserve love and to feel valued and appreciated. I don't feel that way. And then I say, hey, I don't know what you're calling me for, but I'm sorry. I don't want to do drugs for days and days and have you use me to fulfill your freaky wild desires in hotel rooms. I want to ask you some questions about this. When you wrote, I've been waiting for you to do all the things you promised me, what were you referring to? Every time I would see Sean or get ready to see Sean, I feel like there was some sort of like promises that we would spend quality time and we would do all these things together. And if I just did a hotel night, we would do it after. Who told you if you just did a hotel night, you would do things after? He didn't specifically say that, but he would be like, let's just do like one party first, or let's just after tonight, wish the night would be a hotel night, and then Sean would say that. I just read it how it was, folks. I want to make sure we're clear. Yeah, because I was very unclear. So Sean is the one who's saying this. The promise is yes. And what types of things did Sean promise you? Date nights, togetherness, quality time, just whatever I wanted to do. What did he tell you he wanted to do first? A hotel night. And then did you agree? Yes. And then after the hotel night, each time what happened? We would be too tired. We would be too tired and exhausted, and we would just spend the rest of our free time sleeping. Now, James, do you remember back at the first hotel night you talked about with Dawn on May of 2021? Do you remember talking about that yesterday? Your first hotel night with Dawn? Yes. First one ever? Yes. The day after that, do you remember where you went? We were on a yacht. So at that time, was Sean too tired to take you out on the yacht? No. Okay. You may proceed. There was an objection. Question. So when you write, I don't know why you're calling me, but I'm sorry. I don't want to do drugs for days and days and have you use me to fulfill your freaky wild desires in hotel rooms. Who is that addressed to? Sean. Why did you write that in your note app? Because I didn't have the courage to really say that to him. Is it how you felt though? Yes. Can you turn to the second page, please? And can you zoom into the next above the black box? Jane, what is this? This is another note in my notes. This is December 12th, 2022. And when you wrote this, were you writing about how you were feeling at the time? Yes. So then they try to enter it in. There was a redacted version. Of course, they objected to all of these notes, but the judge is allowing it. Can you please publish that to the jury? Jane, what's the date of this note? The date of the note is December 12th, 2022. Would you read this, please? I say, but for what? You want to call me for what? You're going to ask me to come over to put you to bed because you were partying with another girl the night before, ask for foot rubs and sleep till the next day to take another girl on a date, or ask me to come over because you want escapism or debauchery. Keep me up for 3 days straight and then send thousands of roses, cars, jewelry, private island trips, date nights for someone else, and leave me to clean up my house and recover alone. I'm done being used by you. You are hurtful and damaging for me. I have to pull away from you because you have just crossed too many lines. Call you for what? So you can convince me to come over around you and what? But put you to bed and give you foot rubs because you were effed up from partying with whoever the night before? Have me just sit there while you're calling, texting, FaceTiming, and sending voice notes to other girls, or have me locked up in a hotel or trash my house for a 3-day dirty escapism binge? Have me do all of that just to turn around to leave me to clean up and recover on my own while you buy thousands of roses, cars, jewelry, shopping, PJ flights, and set up the next flight and trip for someone else? I'm done being used by you. I don't feel good around you, and I need to stay away from you. Jane, why did you write that? I wrote that because these things were happening around this time where it was really, really hurtful to see that Sean was so capable of doing these really romantic, lovely gestures. But when it comes to me, I was just always dealt and met with excuses. Towards the bottom of the text, where you wrote, leave me to clean up and recover on my own, what were you referring to? I was referring to so many of these nights where even after everything is done, I took it upon myself to try to clean up as much as I could. And sometimes if it was at my place, I wouldn't have the maid for days. So I would just clean it off for myself. Be by myself as I'm coming down from drugs and just trying not to think too much about what just happened and the reality of me being alone, cleaning up after this and how that would affect me. Why didn't you want to think too much about what had happened? Because it was awful. You can take that down. Thank you. Jane, we talked earlier about your birthday in February 2023. Do you remember that? Yes. I'm not going to make you talk about it in detail again, but can you remind us where that was? Miami. So they pull up another piece of evidence. Jane, what are these? These are photos of me and Sean on my birthday in Miami. Your birthday in 2023? Yes. What part of the night were these from? This was the beginning. This one was at dinner and the other one was in the hotel room, just getting the night started. How do you remember feeling when these photos were taken? I was feeling really happy with my partner. I just loved every single minute with him. I always wanted to kiss him or touch him or just be next to. Girl, you sound like you was obsessed with this joker. I just always had to touch him and kiss him and feel him, and I just wanted to be next to him and be up under him, and I cried, and he let me stay up under him all day. It's something else going on with this. Okay. What's the date of these texts? February 11, 2023. And then is the next one February 12th? Yes. And are these after you left Miami after your birthday in 2023? Yes. What did you write? I said, why do you lie to me? Child, we all want to know that question about these men out here. We want to know why they lie. We all want to know. Why did you send the text to Sean after your birthday? Because he left me in that room like that and he embarked on a private vacation with him and his other girl that he was dating. And how did you know that? Because she posted it on Instagram. And did you see it there? Yes. And what did you see on Instagram? I saw that she had a plane that was decorated for her birthday. I saw photos of them together and I saw them going to a private island. How did that make you feel? Absolutely terrible. Why? It broke my heart because I just finished spending my birthday with all these guys having sex with me, and then just for my partner to leave and do such a romantic gesture for someone else. Can you read how Sean responded to you when you asked why he lied to you? Actually, backing up, what about that was a lie? I asked him in that night. I remember he was making phone calls, private phone calls to his assistant, asking if the food was okay and if the chef was there. And it seemed like he was in preparation for something else. And I had it in the pit of my stomach that he was getting ready to do something that was just going to really hurt my feelings. And so instead of not saying anything, I just looked him in his eyes and I said, are you going on a trip? Are you going on a trip after this? And he flat out said no. How did Sean respond on February 12, 2023 to your text? He said, because I didn't feel like telling you what I was doing with somebody else. You had your birthday and I didn't tell her what I was doing with you. And that's the way I want to keep it. Thank you. Love. So he basically said, I don't let that one know. I'll never let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. Okay. I'm dating all of y'all, but I ain't telling you when I'm going out with her, what time I'm going out with her, and where we going. Duh. Yeah, I lied. How did you respond? I said, I've been asking for us to go to Turks for so long, or to take any trip together. You've left me behind for years. Now to watch all your trips, and I've been cool about it, hoping you take me somewhere for my birthday. You know I specifically wanted to go to Turks. This just doesn't feel good. They jumped to some more pages. Could you please read what you wrote on this page? I said, yeah, baby, it's really weighing down on me. Italy 2 times, St. Bart's, now Turks, the place I've been patiently and kindly asking for years now. What were you referencing when you said Italy 2 times, St. Bart's, now Turks? I was referencing all the trips he had taken where he didn't invite me. And how did Sean respond? He said, you look like you had a great party and we had a good time. Stay in the light. Now he said, relax, stay in the light. You had a good time. What did you understand Sean was referring to when he said you look like you had a great time? I understood him to talk about my birthday dinner that he did for me that I did the night before. What birthday dinner had you done the night before sending these text messages? After our birthday celebration for me, I left Miami and I had a birthday dinner with my girlfriends the following day. And so he's saying that I look like I had a great birthday party, and him saying we had a good time, meaning our time together at the hotel, and for me to stay in the light, which meant like just move on from that feeling and whatever. And who paid for the birthday dinner with your friend? Sean. But was he there? No. Where was he? In Turks. Can you read the text at the bottom of the page on the left, please? I said, it really feels like you use me to get off and then you go away for a week. Let's read the text on the next page, please. I say, I've been staying in the light and staying strong about it, but this is my truth and how it makes me feel. I'd like to get off the hamster wheel and just do something different with you. I deserve it too. What did you mean when you said I like to get off the hamster wheel? I meant that I wanted to get off the rhythm of these nights, the consistent nights that I couldn't get out of. I couldn't get out of the constant movie. Let's read the text. 2 texts, please. What did you write? But of all places, you picked Turks? How can I not feel away? I say, when are we having a getaway? You've promised me this for years. All we do is hotel and it's sad. It's just not fair to me. What were you referring to when you said you promised me this for years? I was referring to that these were one of the things that I so desperately wanted from Sean, that he knew that I wanted. And he would say that he would do these things, just trips, traveling, dinners, date night, just the quality time. Let's go to page 8 and 9, please. Would you read the next text you sent him? I say, I didn't want to do all of that on my birthday. You knew how tired I was. You knew how tired I was. But I kept a good attitude about it. I come home to see you on a trip I've been dying for, to the only place I've been wanting to go back with you. I'm off it because it's just making me cry. It's been 2 years of waiting and I'm just frustrated and feeling used. What were you referring to when you said you knew how tired I was? He knew that after three guys that I was tired. And when you said the only place I've been wanting to go back with you, what were you talking about? I just wanted to go back to where I fell in love with him, and that place was very special to me. Where was that? Turks? Do you need a break, Jane? No. Can you read how Sean responded to you? He goes, let's not do anything anymore. Sorry. Tired of you throwing X in my face. Whack. I can't handle you comparing yourself with another woman. That's why I lie in the first place. So let's just be friends. What did you understand Sean was referring to when he said tired of you throwing X in my face? I understood that he meant anytime that I would bring up these hotel nights. Nope, I'm getting it now. It's all coming together. I said it earlier. I think because she knew that that was one thing that she did that he loved so much, she would probably say, like, as his punishment, she would be like, well, we ain't doing no hotel nights then. And so she is, for him to say, I only want to be with you as being one of many, and told you that off rip, she does seem like, you got high expectations comparing yourself to women and all of that, because he told you that off rip. And he probably is serious, where he's like, my point of doing this and telling women up front and trying to be truthful is because I don't want to go through what you're doing. Like being jealous of other women, talking about you want more time, you want this, you only get this, you only get this. And then I got to hear all this on these text messages and voice texts and the audio, whatever that she's going through. So that's what it sounded like to me. So when he say throwing it in my face, but anyway. So, but she's testifying it like every time she bring it up, like she's saying she don't want to do it and she never wanted to do it and all of that. That's how she's saying in the answer, as she was consistently telling him she didn't want to do this and he would still set it up anyway and all of that. So she would bring this up a lot, I think, when she like, I'm doing all of this and doing what you want, rubbing your feet, cooking your food, and you still going out with other hoes. So that lets you know a lot of the stuff she was doing. Obviously, she's saying she was in love with him. I don't see why. But a lot of things she was doing for him was because she knew she was in competition with other women. And she thought she was doing enough in order for him to be like, well, I got all this in one package with her. But did he not trying to be with one person? He's not. The ones he had relationships with that he loved, like a Kim or a Cassie, he cheated on them. So, yeah. I don't know. Queen V said the defense gonna really trip her up big time. They are going to show, I think, on cross-examination. It's all my opinion. I think that they're going to show she initiated this a lot. She weaponized that he liked doing this, and that's was her saying whatever. They're probably going to show different things outside of that he's done with her and for her. Other trips, other whatever that she had been on. They're probably going to show like he tried to break up with her several times and she wanted to get back with him and how her response was or whatever. And I think what the government is doing is they're throwing up a bunch of text messages. And I think it's to get in front of a lot of it, because it does look like you just mad he was with other women and it was on Instagram, but he told you off rip he was going to be with other women. Yeah, she was fun. That's what she was. And there are some people that are in those situations. Tori in New York said, do I think it's going to be a mistrial? Nope. I don't. Educator said she manipulated Diddy too. Robert said the defense. Well, they said she about to be on the stand for basically almost the entirety of the week. Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit more, guys, and then I gotta head on out. All right, so they took it down. So then she's reading something. She says, I said, this is the one time I'm comparing because it was my birthday, not just any regular day that we have. I thought we would do something different, like a trip. But if you're making it seem like you enjoy this stuff too, I think that he would do it on your birthday. Because it seems like you were using this to say, I'm going to take this away from you. Or you were saying, I don't really want to do this, as kind of like more of a punishment. Not as, I really don't ever want to do this again. I feel disgusted and I feel like you use me and I ain't no hoe. All right. I ain't your hoe. I ain't your little ex-worker. I ain't none of that. So this ain't going to work. It sounds like the tone she's doing is almost like, I don't really want to. I'm using this to get you. I use it for you to come with me. I've done surprises myself. I've set it up myself. If he don't want to come for no other reason, this ninja will move heaven and earth for these little hotel nights. So that was a way to get him. So because you were probably part of it as well, it started being more frequently. He probably thought you really did like it, and you were just using it as a manipulative tactic in order to like punish him when you didn't like to see him with other women. But he still didn't have a problem breaking up with her though. So then she says, I said, so you're on a trip and breaking up with me? Why you care? If you mad he out with another, listen, deuces, bro. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt if you was in love with him, but you'll get over it eventually. Can you read the bottom text message? I said, I would never make you feel like how you're making me feel right now. What? You said you don't like the way he acting. You don't like him with other women. She says, he said, I'm tired of these conversations. We can just move on. We could take a break. And you're like, you're breaking up with me while you're in Turks and Caicos with another woman. So now they go to page 10 or 11. I say, I don't throw X in your face constantly, but the type of nights we have are nights that require everything out of me for 30 to 40 hours straight. I figured on my birthday, you would switch it up for me. And what you're doing right now is exactly the switch up I asked for. How are you treating me? It's so cold and you're really making me feel used right now. And now you're breaking up with me? Is that really what you want? Be clear now so I can see things for what they really are and I can see you for who you really are. What's the next text you sent? I said, I asked you for the truth so I wouldn't feel like this, and you lied because you know it would be effed up. What did you write at the bottom? I say, and to add to your effed up lies, you want to break up? He doing you a favor, sis. Can you read the text you wrote on the next page, please? I said, I feel terrible right now. I have been nothing but patient. No headaches, no stress. Give you whatever you want whenever you want it. I don't stress you about anyone or anything. I show up when you want and how you want it. You're the only man in my life. You're the only man in my life, and I don't entertain anyone else. That was your first problem. Well, that was about your third issue. You gave me a tall story lie about being stressed and why you would not take a trip right now. And you still lied and you took someone else on a birthday trip to the destination I've been asked for years. I sat back for over 2 summers and holidays and countless trips and still gave you zero stress about it. I say, choosing to lie to me on my birthday feels like you tried to trick me. You could have just been honest and it wouldn't have been such a blow to me. Why am I the only one who always seems to get the shorter end of everything and get less of an experience? But yet, I feel I'm asked to do the most. And now I'm seeing you on this trip and can't help but feel taken advantage of and taken for granted and lied to. This was the time for you to show me that love and all the things you promised me you would do and start doing and be more alike. You said I'd start feeling everything more now, and this is how you started. She getting on my nerves now. Page 12 and 13. And how did Sean respond? I'm sure it was very brief after all of that. He says, let's be friends because I can't take this part for real. I'm done with you comparing yourself to someone else. I treat you good. And if you don't feel so, let's just be friends because I'm tired of these long texts telling me that I'm doing wrong. I just said that after that long soliloquy, he probably going to come back with something so simple that's going to really make her mad. And what did you write in response? I said, how is treating me good, telling me for years we're going to go on trip and ask me for patience all these years, then lie to me on my birthday and take someone else where I wanted to go? How is that treating me good? Every woman in your life has enjoyed this with you but me. Why I don't deserve it? Let's go to the next page, please, and read the rest of the text. I said, don't I give you everything you want? What am I doing wrong? I feel like I do everything right by you and I still get lied to or I get treated less than. Why? Have we just taken things too far and now you look down on me? Uh-huh. You're breaking my heart by asking to be friends like I'm nothing to you. Let's go down to page 14 and 15. I don't deserve this and you're going to miss me. Don't come looking for me. You're breaking my heart. How did Sean respond? He said, I'm not trying to do that. What's the next text that Sean sent you? He said, you just had a great dinner. Anything you asked me for, I've done. We'll miss each other. Not we'll miss each other. When Sean wrote anything you asked me for, I've done in your experience, was that true? No. Can you read the next two messages you sent, please? So he done sent these lines, told you he want to break up, and you still just texting him these messages. I said, all I wanted to do was travel with you, spend more quality time together, to eat, make love, be closer, and do things outside of these rooms. But that's all you showed me over and over what you wanted me for. I won't miss it because I'm more than that. I asked you calmly and straight up in your face for the truth because I could feel you were lying. You could have just told me the truth and I would have taken it in stride. Instead, you put pressure on yourself to lie. It's you. You say you're in the era of truth, then embody it. And when people ask for it, give it. How you handle this was contradictory and cowardly. I'm off it. How did Sean respond? He answered, miss you. He is such an asshole for real though. Now, can we look back at the text you just sent before that? Yes. What's the date of that text? February 13th, 2023. And then what's the date of the next text that Sean sent you? February 18th, 2023. And then can we turn to the next page, please? 16 and 17. Over the next couple weeks, what did Sean text you? He says, hello. Hello. Good morning. I miss you. What are you doing? Let me make it up to you. I don't deserve a chance. You're taking this too far now. Let me make it up to you. Did you respond to any of these texts? No. How long did you go without speaking to Sean after the argument over the text we just saw on February 13, 2023? It looks like I didn't respond for about 13 days. So she held off for 13 good days. We can take this down. Setting aside the text in your own memory, how long do you remember not talking to Sean after your birthday in 2023? I remember I took a couple weeks away from Sean and I didn't speak to him. Your Honor, this is a good time for an afternoon break if that's all right. So then they just asked her, is she all right to go through till 5 o'clock? She's like, yes, I'm good. Okay. So they pull up another exhibit. Jane, do you recognize this? Yes. What is it? It's another note from my notes. What is it stated? February 12th, 2023. Why did you write this? I think these were just my thoughts and I wanted to say to Sean, but instead I'm writing them in my notes to myself. Does this reflect how you were feeling at the time you wrote this? Yes. So then they try to enter it in. And Jane, would you please just read what you wrote? I said, you know what, babe? It's okay. I just accept the fact that you are a pathological liar. I try my best to make this a safe, non judgmental, loving space for us, but I still get lied to. Can we take that down? Thank you. Jane, do you recognize this? Yes. What is it? It's the notes that I wrote. They're my notes. And what is the date of the first note? February 13, 2023. And at the bottom of the page on the left, what's the date on the second note? This is February 12, 2023. Jane, when you wrote these, were you expressing how you were feeling at the time? Yes. So they answer another one. Now, Jane, we don't need to read this, but generally is the text we're seeing here very similar to the text that we read that you sent to Sean around the same time? Yes. Why did you write these in your notes if you also sent them in text to Sean? I wrote them in my notes so that I could really get out what I was feeling uninterruptedly and just really get that energy out of me and write my feelings and my thoughts. Which did you write first, the notes or the text? The notes. And when did you copy from the notes into the text? Yes. Can we take that down? They pulled up another page. James, do you recognize that? Yes. What is it? It's another note, and it's from February 22nd, 2023. She said she wrote it. It was how she was feeling at the time. They zoom in. Would you please just read the 3 blocks of text we see on this page? She says, yes. I say, you lied straight to my face. You didn't care what I would see or how it would hurt me. All you wanted was another hotel night and use me before your trip, like you've been doing to me for 2 years. I've deprived myself of romance, love, travel, deep, meaningful connection, and sitting back patiently watching you do all the things I wish you would do for me. You lied because you wanted to use me for the night. You lied. I can't get this image of you lying in my face out of my head. You lied so you could use me for that night. You lied because you knew you had a whole vacation plan. You lied and said you had no time for me because you were stressed with work. Jane, in the middle of the section of the text, so they went back, you wrote, I've deprived myself of romance, love, travel, deep, meaningful connection. What were you talking about? Meaning that in the time I had spent with Sean, I was starting to feel a lot of regret that I thought would be romance, travel, love here. I didn't receive that. And I felt that I had wasted my time. So this all is going towards the whole fraud aspect of ex trafficking. They're trying to say he basically told her, I'm going to give you this. I'm in love with you. He loved bound her, but really he only wanted her to ex traffic her for his own personal pleasures. So this is where they're getting it from. So this is the buzzwords in the language is I'm sure she had her conversations with the government. It'd be interesting to see how many she had. But yeah, so she got into it thinking it was gonna be love and all of that, but he defrauded her, is what they're trying to say. My issue with that again is he told you he ain't want you like that. He ain't like you like that. Then you showed you was down for the get down. So he like, okay, I'm gonna keep her around. He probably dated many of people that he just decided he wasn't going to be with or keep around, and he had no reason to. So yeah, but this is kind of, I think what they're getting at is the fraud aspect. That's what I'm pulling out of it, by the way the question is. So then they say, she said that in the time she had spent with Sean, I was starting to feel a lot of regret. She thought it would be romance, travel, love. Here, I didn't receive that, and I felt that I had wasted my time, wasted precious time that I didn't have to invest in this relationship, and it was just weighing down on me. Can we pull up? So this is 3 and 4. Can you just read that text for us, Jane? I said, then you use me up for yet another hotel night and get on your jet and go on an island vacation for 5 days to Turks, a place I've been begging you for. Anything outside of these hotels, I'm a joke to you. Can we go to the last page and can you read what's at the top, please? I said, it's my birthday. I was tired and didn't want to go to a hotel. Can you read what's at the bottom, please? I said, this is about you finally treating me like a human being, a lady, romance, spending quality time, laughing togetherness, not just someone you call on a Friday to use and leave me to go treat another woman with more integrity, being used every Friday to get high. Jane, before the break, you told us that you took a break from talking with Sean after this fight in February 2023. Is that right? Yes. During that break, did you respond to any of Sean's communications? No. When you stopped responding to Sean's communications, how, if at all, did he try to reach out to you? He would try to call me a lot. He would text me a lot. He would have other people try to message me or call me. Who else called you or messaged you on Sean's behalf during that time? His assistant, his butler. And who is that? His butler? I remember it was Frank that I received messages from, or Brendan. Did you respond to those? No. During this break, you took from communicating with Sean. What, if any, trips did you take? I went to Paris. Why did you go to Paris? For Fashion Week. How long had it been since you taken a trip just for yourself? Over 2 years, 3.5 years. As you were getting ready to leave for Paris, what happened? Somehow Sean found out that I was going to Paris. How somehow? And he started texting me like Paris, 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 Paris. And he called my phone like 30 minutes in a row. See, once a ninja like this feel like he's losing grip over you. Yeah, I'm sure he was calling you and all up in your business. That's why you should have started the relationship. Oh, you want to date other people? I'm down with that, but I'm going to date other people too. That would have blew his whole mind. Now you got to make a choice. Do I want to see her with other people, or do I want to get it together and at least try to build a monogamous relationship with her? That's a choice. Because you outside, I'm outside. You in Paris, I'm in Paris. You in Turks, I'm in Turks. We might cross each other on the island with whoever we with. How long before your flight to Paris did Sean start texting you and calling you? It was like just a few hours before the flight. Like I had no idea how he found out. Did you respond to him? They probably gonna show how he knew about the Paris on cross. No. How did that make you feel when Sean sent you those notes, those texts, and called you? He made me feel like he cared, but I knew I had to stay strong and not respond. Where did you go? I went to the airport to go to Paris. And then how long did you go to Paris for? I went just for like 4 or 5 days. And then when you got back, what do you remember happening? When I got back, I remember that's when Sean and I started opening communication again, and we were bickering, but he was adamant that we should see each other. And I missed him as well. And I wanted to see him too. Why did you miss him if you've been so upset with him? Because I love him. What did Sean say that convinced you to talk to him again? He said, come to Miami and we'll figure out a trip. What trip did he tell you he would figure out? Like a remake of, not a remake, like he wanted to make up my birthday trip to me. And this would be like a birthday makeup trip. All it took, girl, was for you to go to another and not seem like you waiting on him to come back and call you and all of that. No. Now what? Your daddy on his way, so.
I think he He the one that told me, he said, look closer, I'll call him.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they put up another text from March 12th, 2023. At this point, have you started talking with Sean again? Yes. Have you started planning this makeup birthday trip? Yes. And where are you and Sean planning to go? To Turks? Can you read what you wrote? I said, so I'm going to opt for the early morning Tuesday flight. I lands in Miami at 4:30 p.m. So it will give me all day tomorrow, Monday to shop and be prepared. Tuesday, you're busy with a few things until dinner time anyways, right? How did you respond? He respond. Sean respond. He said, yes. What were you planning for here? I was planning to come to Miami. Before what? Before our trip together. Can we go to the next page? What did Sean write you? He said, plan a night of debauchery and fun. Then straight to the airport, straight to the beach. What you think? How did you respond? I said, I just want us. We need to reconnect. What did you understand Sean was asking you when he said plan a night of debauchery? I understand that he wanted a hotel night. And why did you respond, I just want us? Because I didn't want to have sex with other men. How did Sean respond? He said, cool. Now go to page 9. What did Sean say? He said, so we don't need a hotel, but we are going to F until we leave. LOL. What did you understand Sean was telling you? That we would just go to his residence instead, probably make love all night. No, he said F. Okay, F-U-C-K. That's what he said. You saying make love. Until we got to the jet. And based on your conversation with Sean before this trip, what was your understanding about whether there would be any entertainers or hotel nights at this trip? I understood that there would be none. Did that turn out to be true? No. After these communications, where did you go? We met at dinner. In what city? In Miami. And what happened at dinner in Miami? We were listening to each other. We were kind of bickering about Paris. Can you tell us about that? What were you bickering about with respect to Paris? He was just showing just agitation about the fact that I just up and left and how his girl can't do that. See what I'm saying? He just got a control factor. Yeah, no. Just up and leave. And he was explaining his trip that he had taken with the girl to Turks and how, I don't know, he just kept talking about Paris. He just kept talking about Paris. He was mad that she actually had a mind of her own, hopped the plane and left. Just like he was asking, like, just why would you leave? Like, why would you do that? And how was Paris? And just being mean about it. So they pull up another exhibit. It's a photo of me and Sean from when at the dinner we had. This is the first time we've seen each other after our break after my Paris trip in Miami. So this is that dinner in March of 2023. Yes. What do you remember about when this picture was taken? What do I remember about it? I really liked this moment because I really missed him and I felt like I had him all to myself and I could feel that he missed me. We can take this down. Thank you. What do you remember happened after you bickered about Paris? We took a pill and we went to the Mandarin Oriental. And what happened at the Mandarin Oriental? Hold on. Gold diggers, remorse, revenge. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. You said this is a dumb cat and mouse transactional relationship. This is interesting. Oh, just like what? Well, he took her to Turks when they first got together, after she decided to talk to her friend's man. He took her to Turks and it was a nice meeting, nice situation for days. And he paid her 10K because she was away from the internet to do her content creation or her influencing work. And then so that's what she kept trying to relive them first moments, because after that, not too long after that, they started doing these hotel nights, and then that's pretty much became the not the only part of their relationship, but it became a very integral part of their relationship. Same cycle, different day. Ain't got no chill. Like what? He needed to keep her in that mindset and be all up in love with him. So, he is annoying. She can take herself to Paris, but not to Turks and Caicos. You said the description of a self-described. Yeah, I'm gonna say that word, gold digger. Oh, God. This is so much. He's the one being used by her. I'm sure that's what they're gonna try to paint after her friends, man. I still can't get back. I can't get past the initial contact. How you met him being with your girlfriend and paid for your trip to go to Miami just to try to kick it with her man. Like, that's just nuts to me. All right. And then her girlfriend had it right. You ain't see Diddy going after her girlfriend. Her girlfriend had somebody else already. Diddy probably told her what was up. Because he said, oh, we was just friends. It wasn't that deep. Yeah. Because the girlfriend, apparently she was about her business. And she had a whole nother dude in another country that did think of her in a better way. And he actually pulled out them diamonds and put a ring on it. So she told Diddy, deuces. And that was the end of that. So anyways, a little bit more. I keep saying a little bit more, but I'm gonna try to get to 250 pages because it's 300. So it probably ain't too much after that, but I have to come back and do the rest. So they took it down. So then, do you remember what happened after you bickered about Paris? We took a pill and we went to the Mandarin Oriental. And what happened at the Mandarin Oriental? Let me guess. We were just together, just us, and watching porn. And then, just like in the middle of my high, he says, do you want Dom? And how did you react to that? I said, okay. Why did you say okay? I don't know. I think I had just grown accustomed to the rhythm of things, and I can tell that would make him happy, so I did it. Did Don end up coming over? Yes. Did you have X with him? Yes. In front of Sean? Yes. What happened the next day? The next day we were still awake and we took a jet to Turks. Who took the jet to Turks? Myself and Sean. And how long did you end up staying in Turks? We ended up staying in Turks about 5 days. What are we seeing here? These are photos of Sean and I in Turks. This is from the Turks trip? Yes. What do you remember about when you took these photos? I remember on the photos to the left, we had not slept yet. We had got to Turks. We made love all night. And on the right one, I remember we had just like woken up. I remember feeling like he was bored and I was feeling bad for him. So then they put up an evidence. What are we seeing here? This is Sean on the beach. Where? In Turks. In Turks? Yes. Who took the photo? Me. What do you remember from when you took the photos? I just remember it had been because the winds were really strong there. Now, these 3 photos we just looked at what point in the trip did you take them? I believe this was the day after. I think this was like we finally fell asleep, and this is the next day where we're awake and kind of just hanging out. She said he looked bored. What happened after the first day in Turks? After the first day, I really can't remember how, but Paul is coming to Turks. About when into the trip did Paul arrive in Turks? I would say in like day or 2 or 2.5 or 3, probably 2. And what happened when Paul arrived in Turks? When Paul arrived in Turks, I remember our villa was right next to the hotel, and we basically met Paul at the hotel. We had another one of these long nights. How long did that night last? Until the next night. So about how many hours? That would be about 24 hours. And were you having X with Paul over that time? Yes. And who was watching? Sean. After that was done, what happened next? After that was done, I was happy because we started walking back to our villa, and I remember it was nighttime. And let me ask you, Jane, what were you happy about? I was happy that it was all over. Meaning the ex with other men, yes. And then as you were walking back to your villa, who were you walking with? Sean. And what happened? I had been down and I was so excited that I just got to cuddle with him. And he gets this like look like he still wants more. And he's like saying, like, do you have more in you? And I'm like, I mean, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really hesitate too much, but I wasn't like screaming for it. And I just remember he calls Paul, invites Paul to our villa. Diddy ain't got no chill. Like, relax, bro. What happened when Paul came over? He must got some therapist or something for ex addiction because this is like out of control. When Paul came over, we were in the downstairs room of this villa that was already pretty decorated. And before Paul came, I remember Sean giving me a really beautiful bracelet, and I was so happy. And it just meant a lot to me that he gave me this really sweet bracelet. It had 2 hearts on it. What do you remember happening after Sean gave you the bracelet? I remember I embraced him. I thanked him. I was super happy about it, and I felt really loved by him. Girl, over a bracelet? And then Paul comes in, and Paul is really nice, but I just was tired. And what happened when Paul came in? When Paul came in, I'm back in the outfit. We're just about to try and do another round. And I want to say this is probably like our 4th round or something. And I remember this night because it was just really painful. And me and Paul tried to have X, but like I really couldn't have X. Why couldn't you have X? Because I was extremely sore at this point. How did you react when you tried to have X with Paul when you were very sore at this point? I don't really remember if I said anything, but I just remember Sean giving me more like lube and trying to lube me up a bit. And I just remember he said something that really upset me, like something like, oh, you can't take any more DI or something like that. And it just pissed me off so bad. And I remember I took off my bracelet and I threw it against the wall. And I said, you only brought me here to suck that for you. And then I stormed out of the villa. Now, Jane, stepping back when you agreed to go to Turks, did you know that Paul would be there? No. Did you know that Sean would want another one of these nights? No. After you threw the bracelet and left, what happened next? Sean was walking after me, and I didn't even know where I was going. I was just walking around and crying. I just wanted to get away from the situation and just walking in circles, walking around. And he's trying to come talk to me. And then finally, I just sat on some stairs of the villa and I was just crying. All right, y'all. I am going to leave it right here because I have to go. All right. Thank you, Destiny.
Bye.
So, y'all, thank you so much for this 2 hours. We got about probably 30 minutes left. So I'm going to try to come on. It might be late in the mug when I get to where I'm going. But I hope you guys, I'm not saying enjoyed the content, but appreciate the content. This is Jane Doe. And that ain't what I'm trying to do, child. I'm trying to stop this. Okay. And you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Look like it's about to throw down raining over here. But yeah, that's it. That's Jane Doe for now. And I'm gonna talk to you guys a little later. All right. Hit the like button. Gotta go.